Hello, hello, hello. Good people, come on in. Come on in. Whenever you arrive, come on in. I'm just going to sit here and wait till people come in. And it's funny because I always say on the video, that's the part I can't stand to hear when people say, I'm going to wait till people come in the room, come in the room. But I see the importance of it now. What a spectacular day. What a phenomenal day. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Angels gone before us. Heaven and earth adore us. What a mighty God we serve. Because this is the day that the Lord had made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm just waiting till people come in. I know people are probably watching all type of different telecasts and videos. And I just had to, come here in my own time. Go through a process. Go through. What an amazing day today. What an almighty day today. What a day. What a day. What a day. I literally spoke to one of my girlfriends just now. She's actually the young lady who named me the dopest nerd. I literally spoke to her right before I went live. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, we were going to a conference, a life insurance conference. And I told her this. I said that his empire, the Holy Spirit told me his empire would fall. And I also said something else, but I'm not going to say that yet. I think it has to do with why they went ahead and arrested him a day early. But I said this was going to be, and people didn't necessarily take me serious. It sounded far-fetched to people. And people was like, oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, this, that, and the third. But it happened. Hey, Cara, how are you? What a day, what a day. Indeed, what a day. And, there are so many vital lessons about this process and this day and all of this. There's so much. Sometimes we feel like we are calling on the Most High and the Most High is not listening to us. It's not that he's not listening to us. Everything in its time. So many people reached out to me today. So many people called me, texted me, emailed me, so many, to find out what my thoughts were, or to just give me a word, or to a whole lot of things. Support, show support. Just, it was such a nice feeling. It was such an amazing feeling. That was another one. So many people are reaching out to me, just giving me support for the day. I spoke on it so many times, and it's come to pass. Can I sub? What does that mean? Yes, you can subscribe. Subscribe? Absolutely. Hey, Cara. Hey, Jackson. Hey, Michelle Hyatt. What a good day. What an awesome, awesome day. I tell you, as they say, this is the day, truth or dare. Indeed. Hey, Judy. This is a day. And God bless you too. God bless you too. You know what? I believed it. A lot of people said the same thing. I spoke on it 2.5 years ago. I told them that this would happen. And I promise you, the people I told, my girlfriends and all that, maybe 1 or 2 of them believed me, but the rest of them was like, girl, you're doing too much. He ain't think about you. Please stop wishing bad on that man. I said, wishing bad? I'm telling you what the Holy Spirit told me. Holy Spirit told me that his empire was going to fall and he was going to go to jail. And there was another part to it too that I haven't mentioned publicly. I told them. But I found out later that a bunch of them didn't believe me. But guess what? Look. Let me tell you something. The truth needs no equivocation. Once you say it, let it go. Release it to the world. Because baby, when I tell you, if it is to be, it will be. I didn't need convincing, and I didn't push it or try to convince anybody. And I wasn't calling for anybody's downfall. But the God I serve and the world that I know, you must pay recompense for what you do in this world. There is a cost for everything. There is a consequence for everything. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And that reaction is your consequence. And so this is what happens. This is what happens. I've been getting messages all day from people calling and sending messages just to give me good wishes and good tidings. And I'm so grateful for it. So many people thought about me. So many people thought about me. And I appreciate them because guess what? They didn't have to. They didn't have to. But the people that did reach out to me know that this was a long time coming. Can you imagine? What have you done consistently for 25 years? December 27th will be the 25th year, 25th anniversary. How many people can say that they've done one thing, except for mothering and things like that? What'd you say? He's a drug addict and a withdrawal. Oh boy. Oh boy. Listen, withdrawal is tough in and of itself. However, involuntary withdrawal that you haven't committed to, that's just happening to you, I don't wish that on my worst enemy. It's not going to be nice. Not at all. But this is a lesson to people in the world. You know, a reporter asked me today, called and asked me something. How do you feel? Called me out of the blue this morning and was just talking to me. And I said, listen, a lot of people scoff at my spirituality and the fact that I refer to that all the time. But I said, this is a good old David and Goliath day. And I kept my sling and my stone. Because it's not one person. It's not one lawsuit that comes out in November, or it's not another lawsuit that comes out in January. It is a long history of chipping away at it, and everybody together made this happen. This victory is for everybody who was victimized. Oh, listen. Oh, for all of y'all that don't know, you can go on Amazon. Kim's book is out. The secret book is out on Amazon. It came out the other day. It's called Kim's Lost Words. Let me look at it. Kim's Lost Words on Amazon. Y'all better go on Amazon and look it up. Let me see if I can open the... Kim's Lost Words. Go look it up. You'll be surprised what's in that book. You will be surprised that's in that book. She talks about everything. She even talks about my shooting and all who were involved. I advise you, grab it before they're all gone. They need to reopen a lot of things. A lot of things need to be reopened. Listen, when I say I believed it, I know a lot of people keep saying they couldn't believe it. I knew it 2.5, 3 years ago. I said it. It's almost 3 years ago. And so many people thought that I was out of my mind. I mean, really thought that I was out of my mind and said so. Like, girl, that is never going to be happen. That's never going to happen. You need to stop wasting your time. And accuse me of wishing it. I didn't wish it on somebody, but I know that if you do something, there's accountability. Seed time and harvest. Everything has a counteraction to it. And if you do what they say in the immortal words of DMX, you do dirt, you get dirt. If you do things, you have to understand that there is accountability to be had for everything. It's just the way the world we live in, whether it's by the law of the land or universal law. You know, Huey from the Boondocks used to say, pay me what you owe me, Santa. There has to be retribution paid. You don't escape anything in this life. People think they do, but they don't. I've been getting messages all day, I promise you. All day. I'm exhilarated. What are y'all thinking? How do y'all feel? the denial of bail, do you think that is going to be permanent? Like, there is very well, this could very well mean that he will never touch the road again, that he will never come out of jail again. That's a distinct possibility. Like, what do y'all think about that? What's your feedback on that? And God bless you all too. God bless you all. Indeed. A lot of people speculate that. A lot of people speculate that. And there's so many other, listen, there's also so many other things. What I believe is that a lot of people feared, even prior to his arrest, speaking up, even with the added specter of light from the Homeland Security and the feds. A lot of people still feared coming out. What I think is going to happen is that now so many people will speak up, because the physical fear of him per se interacting with them, they have a barrier against that now. And so I think we're going to hear a lot more stories. Even if these people don't pursue cases, I think a lot more things are going to come out of the woodwork. Oh yeah. And here's the thing, when the government, hey babe, what up, Dex? Thank you. Indeed. I got to. This is one of my people from back home. Shout out to you, Dex. This is an amazing day. Amazing day. And it's surreal. It's surreal. For so long, I said it would be, and sometimes people will make you feel like your resolute faith and your hardline stance makes you look crazy. I always tell people, if it looks crazy and it seems out of the ordinary and beyond the specter of reality, then that's when you know God is in the midst. Whenever you could just excuse it away, that's man. But when it seems so out of the ordinary, that's God. And so, yeah, my words seemed out of the ordinary when I'm telling people this. How could I just speak it 3 years ago? God told me his empire is going to fall and he's going to go to jail. People was like, child, please. They didn't want to hear me. What'd you say? I think he is done and about. Yeah, I know I don't got my readers on my readers. The handle broke. Getting out. Yeah, I truly believe that there is a high probability that he may never step foot on the soil, touch dirt again. Like, he may never be a free man again. Once they deny this bail, he may never be free again. That's right. That's right. I listen, I only thank God, like, for a long time, what people don't know is there was a period of time where I went through survivor's guilt. Prior to getting shot, I didn't know what survivor's guilt was. And I mean, I consider myself to be well-versed on a lot of things, but I became hyper fixated on morbidity and death and people getting hurt. Like, I kept comparing my situation to everything. So if somebody, walked on the edge of the sidewalk like we used to do when we were kids, one foot in front of the other, and tripped and fell and hit their head and died, I'd be like, how could somebody die from falling off the side of the edge of the sidewalk, and I got shot and I'm still here? Why am I still here? It's not that I didn't want to be here, but it was so bewildering to me that somebody could endure what appeared to be less in the realm of dangerous and they would die. But yet I was still here. And I kept questioning, what is this thing? Like, what are you calling me to do, God? Why am I here? And it's not that I didn't want to be here. I'm a mother. I wanted to be here, but it was such a surreal thing. Like, I didn't just get shot. Lots of people get shot. Unfortunately, it's a horrific thing, but lots of people get shot. But there's another caveat to it. I got shot by who was arguably the most famous person in a certain genre or in entertainment in the world. People the world over were wearing his clothes, listening to his music. I got shot by one of the most famous people. Who do you go to compare with that? Who can I commiserate with? people don't have that as a story. So after a while, it's just like, okay, well, you here, you survived, be happy you here, and okay, enough. How do you deal with that? How do you express those feelings and navigate those waters when people think like you should just be happy you're alive? Because it wasn't an easy journey. I've said it before. It was a lot of harassment, a lot of stalking. I was stalked for so many years. Crazy things. I'm talking high-speed car chases and all kinds of tomfoolery, madness that without people, people, they say there's 6 degrees of separation. Without people being directly connected to it. You come home from work and you in your car, you get in your car in the parking lot, you driving home, and somebody's chasing you in a high-speed chase that you watched following you on the train. It is, how can you tell these stories to people? You look insane. You know how many times I tried to tell somebody, I got in my car at the train station and this car was following me, and people looking at you like, for real? Okay. If I didn't have a strong spiritual foundation and plateau, a strong upbringing, just being a strong-willed woman myself, I would have crumbled a long time ago. Baby, the stress I endured, the entire defensive line of the NFL couldn't have handled this. It was a lot. And it was so far-fetched because that's how this thing works. Oh, no doubt. We'll talk about that. Absolutely. 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 I told you I was willing to do that. I got you. It makes it even crazier now. I have to shout out my people that's been my people from day one, that no matter what, always believed in me, always repped for me, even if I didn't see them for a long time, even if I didn't interact with them for a long time. Whenever we did interact, it was always love. I have to thank God for that. I have to shout out to that. I have to shout out for the support from my Nerd Herd family. I literally thank God for the fact that you people lift me up. Somebody sent me an email today. When I tell you it was one of the Nerd Herd, the most beautiful email in the world. I was emotional after I read it because, and it was a substantial email. To take the time to just have the wherewithal to call out on me like that and say, hey sis, today is a big day for you. Greetings, thank you. Just for someone to take their time to literally come and leave that message, write me that beautiful email. Thank you. I received the blessings, sending blessings right back out to you. To take the time to consider me in that kind of way. You don't understand what that means to me. I was saying on another live with Tisa, somebody sent me a Cash App and said, thank you for always bringing God into the discussion. I was like, wow, like those are beautiful acts of love. Those are simple acts of kindness. And it wasn't a lot, but it was the act to think about doing that. It just makes it all worthwhile. It reminds you that it's all worthwhile. Like, be resolute, be strong, and be concrete in your faith. Don't let anybody sway you or convince you to abandon what you believe in, because so many people tried to get me to abandon it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard things like, all right, you told me that story 10 times. You're going to tell me that again? Like, factor in and keep in mind if there's anybody in your life that you may have done that to, and consider what it is they're going through and what that kind of statement does to them. Like, we got to be more gentle with each other. We have to be kinder with each other. We just have to. Thank you. Yep, look at that. I just needed to go live, and it was so much going on today. I had to take some time to just be quiet. Like the old people say, peace, be still. I had to just be still. Thank you, sis. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I tell you, for every person that believed me, there was so many more that didn't. There is a lady on Instagram. I forget her name. I had screenshotted or whatever. This chick been harassing me on Instagram, harassing me. There was I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, not Instagram, TikTok. Somebody put on TikTok this video saying, I think it was Ice Cube telling J-Lo she better watch out because something surrounding the case. And they used my picture in the thing. It was about, this woman that got shot, da 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 da, all this stuff. And people were like, oh, poor J-Lo, da 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 da. I said, and somebody was like, oh, poor J-Lo, nothing. She guilty. She did it. She was a part of it. And she's not nice and all this stuff. And this one lady comes out and is like, how do you know? She's nice. You don't know. And I was like, I guarantee you. She's like, she's not guilty. She don't got nothing to do with this. I bet you she wasn't even a part of it. And I said, she absolutely was. Ask me how I know. This heifer start going crazy. She ain't, they just trying to mix her up and stuff and all this. And this woman started harassing her. Who cares if you got shot? So what? You ain't nobody. Who gives a F? You just want to take a good woman down. Listen, I was like, what? Don't nobody care if you got shot. So what? You unimportant. This woman sent me, no exaggeration, about 72 messages. And at one point, listen, I'm a woman of God. I try to walk that line of my spiritual line because we got more years behind us than we do in front of us. And I want to make sure that on my day of reckoning, I see the Lord and I talk to the Lord. I don't want to see anybody else. I don't mind seeing anybody else, that any ancestor, but I want to see the Lord first. And so I don't let people drag me into their foolishness and all that. But I'm going to tell you something. When I tell you this woman was relentless, and it was a white chick, and she was doing all this, I was like, I said, the caucasity of you to come on this page. First of all, why are you all up in the mix? Why are you in the, and it doesn't, I don't care what somebody's color is, but don't come at me like you telling me about our business. And she's like, she was out of pocket. And she's like, oh, please, my man is black. Okay, that doesn't mean you like black women. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean you like black people. A lot of people fetishize people. And I just was like, enough already. Go on. Go on. You in your feelings. You're talking about my life story, my image, my face. What do you mean I'm in my feelings? It's my existence. This woman was relentless. I don't care about all that. It was, I said, this is the work of the devil. It's bizarre that you would come to online to attack somebody about a story involving them and tell them they're in their feelings. I said, well, 9mm bullets got a way of making you in your feelings. She got mad at that. It's through the whole discussion is somewhere on TikTok. And the more she tried to come at me, I was giving it to her, equal measure. And I don't match energy, but this woman was out of pocket on a different level. And I was like, no, on this one, I'm not yielding. I'm not yielding. This is my existence. Who cares? You got shot. So what? You got shot. You lucky you survived. You could have died. You should have died and all this stuff. It was the most bizarre interaction. And I said, you know what? This has to be trolls that they put out there. This is stalking, leaving the street and going into a virtual world, because none of it made sense. And it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. There's too much going on in life that we should take our time. If you don't like something, bypass it. If you're not adding value to it, keep it pushing. Really look at her now, because I saw something where somebody, I think I might have put like, this comment is going to age poorly and you're going to be picking your face up off the floor. And I saw something where somebody was like, somebody liked it like the other day. I didn't go back and look at it and all that, but I did see the notification on my phone. There's nothing in me that makes me want to belittle people online and argue with them and be nasty and savage and all that. Like, there's so many other ways that we can add value. I mean, we know what social media does. It replaces the empty spaces for people. Sometimes people don't have another adult that they talk to on a regular basis, or they don't interact with people regularly. They keep their circle small, or they may not have friends, or they feel isolated, and this is an escape for them. I get it. It's an escape for all of us to some degree. Some people use it to make money. Some people use it just for fun. It's an escape for others. But there's no reason to come and be a savage online. Because for all the words that she wasted, God forbid you fall in a hole, you want to get those words back so that you can call for help. Now you're going to be in a hole with a whole bunch of missing words because you spent your time arguing with me online. For what? About something that was not even your concern and none of your business. But I tell you, like, tell me some of your thoughts. What are your thoughts? What are your future predictions for where this is gonna go? What other people are gonna come out of the woodwork? Did you hear that Kevin Liles, the CEO of what is he the CEO of now? 300 or something? He stepped down as the CEO today, just abruptly. People are evil. I just listen, when I tell you I'm losing faith in mankind, and that's a horrific thing for me to say because hope springs eternal for me at all times. But I've seen some of the most decrepit and just god awful behavior lately. It doesn't make sense. It's really, really odd. It's really odd. And this is a victory for so many people. You know, for Cassie, for Little Rod or Rodney Jones, for just so many people. Tiffany Red, for all of the countless people that, for Kim Porter, for countless people that endured abuse at his hand. It's just unconscionable that so many people, because here's the saddest part of all, and it's not lost on me. And I keep saying it to all these reporters. Reporters are reaching out to me like crazy. I am like hot commodity right now. And some of them are a little upset because I'm like, so why are you interested in me now? I've been out here for 25 years. What's your obsession? Why am I getting so many calls? People are upset with that. But I'm a woman of integrity. Anybody that knows me knows that. Don't leverage me. Don't use me now for a new, segment of the story. I've been out here. I've been out here for 25 years. People wasn't jumping to hear my story. So I'm not going to allow myself to be used. I'm just not. Like, I can always tell I have a spirit of discernment. I can tell by people that reach out to me when there's sincerity. There was a reporter that reached out to me and spoke to me this morning. He's like, wow, this is a long time coming. How you feeling? From Brooklyn. He used to work for the Daily News. Just a really sincere, level-headed, nice, concerned person. It's nice to still interact with people like that. So yeah, I did talk to him for a few minutes because it was centered in something sincere and pure. And he even, right after the bail was denied, he was in a courtroom. He literally called me as soon as he stepped outside the door and was like, I just want you to know, bail is denied. I just stepped out of the courtroom. I can't stay on the phone. I got to go write a story, but I just wanted you to know. Like, I appreciate things like that. I appreciate that. The sentiment from that is pure. You can't help but to want to, talk to those people. There are other people though that they want to profit off of your pain. They're focused on how they can enrich themselves off of your pain. And it's just another story to them. So I don't allow myself to be used for things like that. I'm not going to allow myself to be used. I'm a real person with real feelings, real emotions that went through real trials and tribulations for this past 24 years. I will not be, denigrated down to somebody's little news blurb so they could get an extra 10,000 hits. I'm not going to be that. I'm going to go where I feel valued. I'm going to go where I feel someone is invested in my story and invested in me, and it's not just for clicks. Because there's a lot of that out there. And there's no shortage of places they could go to avail themselves of someone who will talk to them for that clickbait. But I don't want that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say that today, that I was their first thought. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I promise you, when I tell you it was a day of, I had to sit with God for a long time today. Oh, thank you for the love. I had to sit with God for a long time today. Like, I just was in my God pocket, like, Most High, you told me. Holy Spirit, you told me this was what it was. And so I was prepared for it. I probably, if I didn't have this revelation 3 years ago and I wasn't prepared for it and I didn't know, I didn't expect it, it would probably have hit me different. But I think God does a thing with people, and He wanted me to be prepared for it. I mean, He's prepared me for a lot of things in my life. And the irony, I'm going to tell y'all something ironic. When I was, so I have a prophetic gift. Those of you who follow me enough and know me and experience me enough in this YouTube land or through interviews will know and have heard me say before, I have a prophetic and a empathic gift. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. God is the center of my world, and I will always bring God in. And so my grandmother always said when I was a child that I had a gift. But you know, when you hear things like that, you don't totally understand it. You don't understand the origin or the basis of it. You grow to learn it more and more once you hear it in repetition. But I think with maturity and development, you start to understand what it is. But I always had this thing where I just knew things. I could walk into a room and I could read people's energy and emotions. I just knew things. I could see things. I would speak things into existence. My family, those are my people, my homeboy Dex online, and the people that's online that knew me from my childhood nickname was Nanny. And in Trinidad, they say if you have a goat mouth, you speak things into existence. You can speak things from beyond that don't exist yet. Speak those things that are not as though they are. And so my nickname as a child was Nanny, as in nanny goat. I could speak on all types of things and they would come to pass. And people didn't want me to speak on them because they felt like, oh, don't pass your mouth on me, because I would say something and it would come to pass in their life. And so at the age of 16 was when I had my first prophetic message, a profound prophetic message that I could stick my finger on and speak out from the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit told me I would have 2 sons named Donovan and Devon. Those are my sons' names. Those are my first 2 children. That was when I was 16. When I told my friends that, they were like, oh my God, you're trying to get pregnant. Other people trying to scare they pregnant. And I was like, I'm not trying to get pregnant. I'm telling you that God told me I would have 2 sons. They was looking at me like, okay. Like I was crazy. And I was like, listen, I'm telling you what the Holy Spirit told me. But if you are not mature and not on that spiritual walk yet, it sounds like craziness. And so I had to learn really quickly to have a thick, I'm Caribbean and I'm from Brooklyn. Your skin don't get thicker than that. So I had to learn how to have a thick skin from an early age because God bestowed this gift upon me. And I understood instantly that I was different. Anybody that knows me from childhood will tell you I was unique, different. And not like I wasn't popular and about that life and all that. I was all those things, but I walked according to the beat of my own drum. I was not like anybody else they knew. And so at 17, God gave me another prophecy that I would get shot in my head. When I told my friends that, you know what Black people say? Don't mark yourself. Why would you say that? Oh my God, that's so stupid. You dumb. Why would you say that? Ugh. And I was like, I am not marking myself. God told me that I'm going to get shot in my head. I was 17. He gave me 3 profound prophecies, 16, 17, and 19. At 19, I had my son, but he told me I would raise a little girl. Now, he didn't say have a little girl. He said raise a little girl. So I started thinking that, God forbid, someone close to me was going to have a baby girl and something would happen to them and I would have to raise the little girl. So when my friends were having sons, I would get attached to them. But when they were having girls, I would kind of shy away because I felt like the prophecy was coming into play and I didn't want anything to happen to my friends. And I was just like, oh no, I can't be close to them because this is going to happen. And I figured if I stayed away, it would prevent it, which is nonsense because God's will is God's will. But the profundity of the prophecy of me at 17 that I would get shot in my head, God showed me the vision and I felt it. So I grew up on President Street in Brooklyn. And where I got shot in this vision was on President Street in front of my god sister's building. Incidentally, years later, that's where I would leave the night of the club. I went to her house to get something to wear because I lived on the other side of Brooklyn at the time. And my girlfriends lived a few blocks away from my sister. And they were like, oh, if you go all the way home, you're not going to come back and go out with us. And so she was like, wear one of my outfits. And I said, nah, I'll wear my sister's clothes. Let me go to my sister's house and get something to wear. And I went over there and I was leaving her building. And that, I left her building and went and got shot. But in the prophecy, when I was 17, I got shot in front of her building. So my grandmother and old West Indians and some Africans and just old Southern people say dreams walk sideways. And you have to remember that. Whenever you see a vision, it's not necessary. It's like the Bible. They're parables. They're allegory. So they're not exactly the way they are. You have to take them in a, you can take some things in a literal sense, but you have to take it in a figurative sense too. It's going to modulate itself. God is going to give you a framework, but it's going to modulate itself. You got to read between the lines and find those gray areas to figure out what it is. Hey, love, how are you? Yes, it's a celebration. Oh, it's all good. It's all good. You're never late, baby. You're right on time. And so at 17, I had that prophecy of, see, another message. I'm getting nonstop messages. I feel the love, and I want to thank you guys so much. It means the world to me. I got this next prophecy that I would raise a girl. And so those are the three profound ones that walked with me through life. I was always, every situation was measuring itself against those three prophetic words that God gave me, 16, 17, and 19. And guess what? They happened in that exact order. I had my oldest son, then I had my middle son, and then I got shot, and then I had my daughter afterwards. Like, everything happened in that order. So here's the thing. What is God saying to you in your life right now that you're missing out on? That might not manifest itself right now, but maybe down the line in the future. Or what did God say to you in the past that is manifesting in your life right now? Because you can't make this up. I'm talking people literally came to me and were like, hey, Amy, people, hey, Jackson. People came to me and were like, oh my God, remember when I got shot? There were friends of mine that came back and was like, when you were 17, you said you was going to get shot. We thought you was crazy. It has to sound crazy for a 17-year-old to say, God told me that I'm going to get shot. God showed me that I'm going to get shot. For me to go forward in life and get shot. Another prophecy God gave me further on when I was later on into adulthood was that I was going to live very long. God showed me myself on a very big property, a vast, sprawling property. It looked like the South. There was a lot of family members, all ages. You could see the old heads playing dominoes. It's like I could see it from an aerial view looking down on it. So it was a lot of kids running around the yard, playing ball, playing all types of stuff. And you can see the men all in one area and they playing dominoes, and the women all together and they drinking what looks like lemonade and stuff. And you can see the teenagers and the little kids, and it was just it looked like a family reunion. And there were so many generations of family. There was a lot of people. And I could see myself. I had very long, natural gray hair. And there was a little girl who looked to be about 8 years old brushing my hair. Just brushing my hair. And I was sitting, and then another vision, he showed me myself in the middle and the family all around me like in a semicircle. And I was seated in a chair and I was talking to the generations. And it looked like a family reunion. So while I looked good for my age, I knew I was very old. I could see that I was elderly. And so I know I'm going to live long. And so years ago, this had to be about more than a decade ago, probably about 12 or 13 years ago, I was on a plane coming back from New York to Atlanta. The turbulence was, it's bad when white folks be like, oh God, help us. Okay? It was. People were screaming on the plane. People were crying. It was bad. The pilot was trying to keep people calm. The flight attendants, everybody. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. Everybody was terrified. Do you remember? I don't know if they still have them on planes. Do you remember in the seat back portion where they would have like the directions and everything in the seat back pocket? And they used to have barf bags. I had never in my life seen anyone use a barf bag until on that plane. You could hear people retching and literally The person I was with barfed in the barf bag because the turbulence was really, I'm talking, it was bouncing, dropping like 10,000 feet, bouncing. It was bad. The plane was, and people were screaming, oh no, we're going to die. And I was just like, I said, we're going to be fine. We're not going to die. Praise God. Show them your God. Show them your God. And I was like, everything is going to be fine. We're going to land fine. We're going to land perfectly. And people were livid with me. Somebody said, shut the fuck up. And I was just like, we are going to be fine. Show them you are God. Show them you are God. And I just was filled with the Spirit, and I started praying. I was praying an almighty word. I was like, we're going to land fine. Calm down, relax, stand in your faith. Nothing is going to happen. We're going to land. And people were just like, and I promise you, when we landed, I had not heard a plane erupt in applause like that. It was like everybody was a 5-year-old, and they was just so happy to be on that ground clapping. And people were crying, and people were saying all kinds of stuff. And when I walked out, this Spanish lady and I don't even think these other 2 ladies knew the Spanish lady, but they all came together, and they came up to me and said, how did you know? And I said, God told me. He showed me prophetic visions of myself as an old lady. There was no way we were going to crash. When I tell you, some people were walking out looking at me going, kissing their teeth and walking past me. They were livid, but we survived. I told them we would. But I think that level of faith scares people. It scares people because people say all the time, I believe in God, I'm a child of God, I worship God. People say it all the time because it's easy to say. It's just open your lips and speak. However, to walk that walk is a whole different thing. There was not a doubt in my mind that we were going to crash. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt we were going to land safely. It was the worst, and I've dealt with some turbulence. It was the worst turbulence I've ever dealt with. But I knew we were going to be fine. I was telling people were cursing me out to tell me shut up because they had people get such. They fall into this trauma bonding situation where if people are screaming and crying and everybody's thinking, oh God, this is the end, they're more comfortable with that being the prevailing thought. But this one woman proclaiming, we are going to be fine, stand in your faith. God is an awesome God, he's an on-time God. We are going to be fine, show them your God. I was the crazy one to them. Speaking that they were going to survive and this was not the end, they were upset collectively at me. I was like, people are out of their mind. I knew that we were going to land, but I've had this kind of a faith walk for a long time. It bewilders people. I at this point, it's such my existence. I don't know. I can only imagine what people that don't have this kind of faith walk, what they think. Yeah, I can only imagine what they think, but here's the deal. Because my life and my existence is centered so much on God and this faith walk, I don't understand that other thing. And I'm not judging it, I'm not criticizing it. I really would hope, and I'm not telling people who to believe in, but I would really hope more people would come on over to the faith walk. Because guess what? All of us have been through some stuff. I know, you all know I've been through something tragic. How many people have been through something tragic? I'm sure tons of you have been through something tragic. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever had a tragedy in your life, if you ever endured anything tragic. Because here's the thing, a lot of us have. And if you haven't had a tragedy in your life, then you know someone who had a horrific and tragic situation in their life. But guess what? We have a 100% success rate. I don't care how bad it was. I don't care if you was facing eviction, you was about to lose your house. I don't care what it was. You have a 100% success rate because guess what? You overcame that thing that you thought was going to kill you, and we still here shining. Look at the ones. We are still here. I don't care if it was the man you loved with all your might. You thought he was somebody was absconding with your affection and you thought he was going to walk away and never come back. Guess what? We here. We have a 100% success rate. When are we going to believe it? When are we going to believe that our God is an awesome and an on-time mighty God? I don't care how bad you feel. I don't care if you was in a car accident that broke your legs and your spine and you was in traction for ages and you were all of that. Guess what? You walking today. That means you got a 100% success rate. If that was a test, you got a 100. You still here. But faith and worry cannot coexist. Cannot coexist. Still here, baby. Still here. God ain't let us down yet. Now, I know a lot of people are what I call spiritual hypocrites, and they want to make God transactional, like he's an ATM. They want to forget about him when things is going good, because when things are going good, they think I did that. But when things are going bad, like, God, how could you let me go through this? Faith and worry can't coexist. But we also can't treat God transactionally, like, that's people trying to treat God like a hoe. You can't just use him when you want. You gotta pray in the good times and the bad. You gotta give God a shout out in the good times and the bad. And you can't be putting things, tangibles or intangibles or people or addictions before him, because anything you put before God, he's gonna strip you of it. Strip you. You put a man before God. If you was a praying woman and you take care of your kids and you do your stuff, and then all of a sudden this man come along, you ain't got no time for God. You just boo. What you want to eat? I made some chicken boo, and you throwing shots of hip, and you ain't got no time for God, baby. Baby, that man is as good as gone. Anything you put before God, he will strip you of it. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate it. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, everybody. Black Gold, Rachel, or Rochelle. Quad. I'm doing good without my glasses tonight, y'all. Without my readers. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You cannot. And people do that. People do that. Like, let's keep it a buck. People call on God when they need. And there's a scripture that says, if you don't know me in your time of abundance, I'm not going to know you in your time of need. You can't spin the block on God and be like, oh, you know what, God, you know me and you cool. You can't do it. You can't do it. It has to be consistent. It really has to be consistent. And when it all gets said and done, I don't care. There was an old song. My dad was a jazz musician, and everybody in my neighborhood knew my stepdad. He was a jazz musician. He used to play the trombone. You could hear him from outside. And he used to play this Billie Holiday song, which he used to make me sing Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Dinah Washington, he used to have me singing all those jazz standards. And Billie Holiday has a God Bless the Child That Got His Own. I did a solo to that when Ayanna Van Zant used to be my dance teacher. And we were in the semifinals of a dance competition. And there was 3 people who were the top dancers in the dance class. Now, Delva was the top dancer by far. Delva had us beat by far. She was the most talented ballerina in modern dance, jazz, all of that. However, she didn't have biology was against her. She was short and thick. So she didn't have the long, elongated, lanky dancer's physique, but it didn't stop her skill. She had everybody hands down beat. Now, the next 2 neck and neck were myself and actress Nabushe Wright. You probably know her from Dead Presidents and all these different movies, Zebrahead and all these movies. Nabushe Wright and I grew up together, and we were in dance class together. Ayanna Van Zant was our dance teacher. Ayanna Van Zant was our dance teacher, and Nabushe and I were neck and neck, and it was a battle to see who was going to get that solo for the finals competition. And I had some family members. They were teenage girls when I was a kid, and they used to look out for me and my sister. They lived 2 doors down. They were our play cousins, and they sewed. And so they made me this long red dancing skirt and bought me a red leotard and some red dancer stockings. And I did this dance. I was practicing, and I choreographed and freehanded this dance. And you would have thought, what was said to me was Catherine Dunham. Look that name up. Entered my body and was dancing. And of course, I won the solo role, but it was she didn't tell us what song we were getting. She chose the music. When she put the music on, it was Billie Holiday, God Bless the Child That Got His Own. So that music stirred my soul. At 9 years old. 9. God bless the child that got his own. Your mama may have and your papa may have, but God bless the child that got his own. That got his own. So important. A lot of us stand on, we lean on our, not on our, well, we lean on our own understanding and not look at the depth of the message that's being sent to us. At that moment when that song was playing, God was talking to me while I was dancing. And I'm telling you, while I didn't have the capacity to understand it all, hindsight being 2020, in retrospect, I could look back and God was dealing with me, said, baby, this gonna be your life. This is going, I'm preparing you now, baby. Go ahead and dance and stress, releve, arabesque, do all your plie, dance, but get this in your bones. Get this in your system, because this is your future. I didn't know it at the time, but it was my future. I come from a great family. I came from a family, my mother was, she left the island of Trinidad at the age of 15 and came to America and built an empire. All of the people that's online that know me personally, that know my walk, my upbringing, oh, me and my sisters had it all. We did everything. I was a teenage girl doing kabuki theater. I used to do ballet, jazz, modern dance, and kabuki theater. Japanese folk dancing. I'm talking in a kimono, wood block on my stomach, tied up, but full. Kabuki theater. My life was by no means ordinary. By no means. I used to ski, water ski, all types of stuff. It was not your run-of-the-mill black teenage girl or child existence. It wasn't. And I wanted everything out of life. I could taste it. I had all these, she let me run with my heart's content. At times where she stopped me like, what you mean water ski? I want to water ski. Okay, we go away and I'll go water skiing. My mother be like, are you sure you want to do this? You see all this water? This is big. Who gonna come in there and get you? I got on a life vest. I can swim. But she's like, this is a lot. And guess what? I did it fine. And then she was able to walk through life. Yeah, you see my girl, my child, my daughter be skiing. She water ski, honey. She be water skiing and all, because I didn't live with fear. I didn't grow up with that natural inherent fear that people embody. It wasn't in me. There was nothing I could do in life that I thought, there was nothing in life that was possible that I thought I couldn't do. I have spoken so many skills and gifts into, and I think everybody has the capacity to do it. I believe it with my soul. I will speak a gift into existence. It could be something I've never done before. My reupholstery business, I'm self-taught. It came out of nowhere. It literally came from seeing a French Provincial couch in my little sister's hairdresser's studio in Brooklyn. And I had a beauty salon. I had beauty salons in Brooklyn, but when I moved away, I had beauty salons in Atlanta. And I went to New York to visit and saw this couch. And I said, oh, I must have something like that. I have to find a Victorian or French Provincial couch. I need to make this. And so I'm looking online, scouring online, looking for it. And I find one in South Georgia, rent a truck, go get it, and hire this driver to bring it back and all. And people like, the girls in my shop are like, you gonna do a couch? You don't know how to do no couch? I said, yes, I do. And it was like, where you learn to do a couch? Who taught you how to do a couch? I said, nobody. I told her, so who said you could do a couch? I said I could do it. They was like, you gonna mess that up. I'm talking all of them, clients, my staff members. They was like, you gonna tear that couch up. You don't know how to do no furniture. Girl, I did that furniture so bad. I'm gonna have my daughter post a picture, add a picture to it. I did that couch so good. The children, how you doing, used to come in my shop and be like, oh, I heard about this beautiful couch. Are you selling this? I want to buy it. You know how many people try to buy my couch off of me? It was my first piece. But I think we have the capability. I just think that people have been limited. And it's not necessarily all of our fault. It's the subconscious programming. The people who raised us were limited in a lot of things that they did. They didn't have the capacity to do what they wanted to do. People took away their ability to dream big and think that the sky was the limit and they could attain anything. You hear them say, oh, you can be anything you want when you grow up, but they don't really mean it because they don't see that for themselves. But I always believed that Aw, thank you. You can't stop smiling. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I always thought that I could do everything. And so I would always speak that into existence. I was like, oh, I can do this. And so because at the time I didn't have a massage therapist at my shop, but we had a massage room. I had the chairs, the couches in the back. And I would go back there and do the couches. And even clients would come back there and be like, where's Eb? And they'll walk in the shop and they'd be like, where's Ebony? Oh, she back there messing up them couches, child. And people would come stick their head back there. Girl, what you doing back here? Who told you you could do this furniture? The joke was, listen, when I tell you it was jokes, but baby, when I unveiled that furniture, I painted, the frame was it was vintage, so the frame was a little shaky. I looked off to the side, went in my mind, configured how could I stabilize this couch. I broke the couch completely down, shored up the wood and the foundational pieces, made it solid and resolute, and then I started building it back up. Just like anything, I can reverse engineer anything. If I break something down, I know how to build it back up. I laid that couch out. People used to come and be like, oh, child, it's fancy. Where y'all get this? And they'd be like, Eb did that, girl. It's like, stop lying. I had customers that be like, listen here, girl. If I ain't see Ebony doing it, nobody could have told me she did it. She did that thing. And people were like, wow, I wish I could. I can't do no furniture. I said, you could do anything you want. We just got to believe it. I don't care what it is. Somebody come and ask me, you know how to do such and such? Yup. And you best believe I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. We have to start looking at life like that. You know how much more beautiful your existence is if you tell yourself you can do it? If you harness the energy, everything we need is inside of us already. Everything. When I tell you God imbued us with everything we need, you can do whatever you want. You just got to believe it and you got to want to believe it. And we have to suspend all this fear. Fear has been put on us and in us by so many people. And some of them think they did it from a protective place. They don't want you to get too big for your britches. But that level of thinking keeps you from being your greatest self. Girl, I could put up sheetrock. My mother, people from Brooklyn know, my mother had houses. Sometimes she needed to, a tenant might have put a hole in the wall. Honey, my mother, I was putting up sheetrock walls as a teenage girl with my mother. Cut out that sheetrock, cut that piece of sheetrock, the broken piece of sheetrock, cut it out. I could do all of that. Mud, tape, everything. There's nothing I can't do. I could build a piece of furniture from scratch. From scratch, I can build a piece of furniture. I can build all types of stuff. You have to believe it. In order to achieve it, you have to. You have to believe it. You have to push the fear of, most people think they can't do things because they fear the outcome or they fear what the people around them are going to say. And we have been beholden to the fears of other people. It's like people that say, oh, you know what, I want to try to open a business. And I can't tell you the amount of people that say, what you going to do all that for? I had an ex's mom that said to me, she was like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to open a beauty salon. She was like, what? Child, what you doing all that for? You might as well work your job for like the next 3 years and then maybe in 3 years you could do it. I was like, why? What's so unique about 3 years from now that I can't do it now? That's absurd. And she had nothing. She couldn't tell me anything. She literally had nothing tangible. But it was, what she was doing was projecting her fear. Perhaps there was something she wanted to do, but someone talked her out of it. Or she just believed that she couldn't do it. And so she just instantly tried to project that onto me. I said, what? I think I had the shop open in less than a month. She used to come to the shop sometimes and get her hair done. Less than a month. There's anything you want to do, you can do. You got to believe in yourself and you got to want to do the hard work. See, I ain't scared of the hard work. I will be laying tiles. I will be scraping up old tiles. I will skim walls, paint. There's nothing I can't or won't do. I think if we walk through the earth with that mentality, baby, we are going to outdo ourselves. Right now, we need to make sure that we are preparing ourselves for what's to come. I think we tend to be, especially as Americans, we tend to be late to the party. A lot of times we're so focused in our micro existences, existing in a greater macro world, that we totally disregard what's going on a macro level. And then by the time we realize it and find out, we are desperate in a situation because we haven't prepared. Y'all got to start preparing. Like, everybody, your house should be full of water. Prepare. We are in meager times. They say every currency has a 100-year run before it topples. Guess what year America's currency is in? If anybody could guess, what year do you think America's currency is in? Like it's saying, economists and historians tell you every major civilization and their economic structure and their currency has a good 100-year run. Remember, America is the baby of superpower nations and developing nations. So what year do you think we're in of that 100-year run? Drop it in the chat. Let me see. And there's no wrong answer. Just take a guess. No, baby, we're in the 100th year. We're in year 100. People are de-dollaring right now. All kinds of countries are decentralizing the American dollar and moving and modulating to other forms of currency. That's where you hear so much blockchain and so much, of course, blockchain currencies are Bitcoin, Ethereum, things like that. Everybody's in on it except us. Yeah, 100. We're in year 100. The dollar is losing value. You want to know the number one indicator that the dollar is losing value? How much is your grocery bill this year compared to last year? You know what it is. You could go to the store. What used to go to the store and spend $50 on is $145 now. Everybody's decentralizing the dollar. Remember, the dollar used to be the basis for what every country, whatever their gross national product, everything, they would always convert to the dollar, especially when facilitating business. But guess what? With Brexit and with all the Asian and all the other countries, Africa, people are stepping away from the American dollar. Baby, that thing is so weak, it's about to collapse. What are people going to do when it collapses? And you know who's going to be late to the party? Americans. And not the powers that be that are already amassing gold coins, silver, things like that. Buy small denomination gold coins and silver. Like, we gotta understand, we should all know by now that when you see movies, universal law dictates whatever is being done. There's so much being done in the world outside of our purview, outside of what we know as real life and the what we think is operational existence for this country and for our lives. There's so much on the perimeters outside of what we think is mainstream society. Well, guess what? All of the other people in mainstream society are preparing. You heard earlier this year, all of the oligarchs and the billionaires are building massive bunkers. Then there are some who are not necessarily oligarchs and billionaires, but they too are building something or they are preparing themselves for the inevitability of the crash of the American dollar. I asked this guy, I was discussing this probably 10 years ago. I asked this guy on a radio show. There was a radio show I used to call in all the time. It's how I had my own talk radio show. I used to call into this radio show, and they used to do this thing called they dropped a bomb if you said something profound. And the topic was, in the event of a shutdown of the power grid and all that, where will you get clean drinking water from? And so people was like, I'll go to the supermarket and if the power grid is shut down and there's no electricity, how are you opening the stores? You can't go to the supermarket. So where will you get a clean source of drinking water? I cannot tell you how many people said the toilet. And to that I say, it was nice knowing you. God bless you. Because the bacteria will kill you before. That is not the source. The source of a clean, and somebody tell me what you think. Where would you find a clean source of drinking water in the event of a cataclysmic event that shut down the power grid? Where would you find a source of clean drinking water in your house? Put it in the chat if you can even think of it. And these are the things we need to be thinking of. You guys saw that movie, Leave the World Behind. Universal law dictates you have to tell the truth. You could put it in, they will put it in movie and make it seem like it's movie, but life has shown us, look at all the old movies that are coming to pass now. So think about that. Leave the world behind. There was a lot of what's called Easter eggs in that movie. Easter eggs are little hidden clues that are done out in the open, but they're clues that relate back to something else. Like the ship that beached and came up on the shoreline, that was the name of the first ship to bring enslaved people to this country. There's a ton of Easter eggs. Water filter. The cleanest source of drinking water that you can find. Oh, no, not the toilet tank. Oh, no, please, God. You ever looked in that toilet tank? Baby, that toilet tank looks so... I wouldn't drink it. I mean, desperation arose and there was literally nothing else. But no, the hot water tank, the hot water tank in your house, and there's a spout at the bottom. By all means, don't drink it from the bottom. Find something that would allow you to pry the top off or jimmy the top off or cut it in some kind of way. I don't care if you had to cut it little by little and open just a segment of it, but you want to get that water from the top of the hot water tank. And here's why. Hot water tanks on average hold 75 gallons of water at a time, 100 gallons, depends on the type of water tank you have. However, if you take it from the bottom, you're almost guaranteeing yourself lockjaw and sudden death. And here's why. Because sediments, any type of metal is eventually, some degree is going to start to build up some sort of rust. But the beauty of, life is that the sediments will fall to the bottom. So when your hot water tank busts in your house, what does it do? It leaks out from the bottom. You see a bunch of rust all over the floor. You just had yours replaced. Good. But I'm telling you, I would still suggest that you take it from the top because sediment falls to the bottom. And so if you go to the bottom to start opening that spigot to get water, you're almost guaranteed getting sediments. And water, food, everything, air has heavy metals in it. Do not drink from the bottom. I promise you. Do not drink from the bottom. Get to the top of that water and fish your water from the top. Absolutely, because if you drink from the bottom, yeah, you'll have a source of water, but you'll also be in no time. The sediments are at the bottom. It's so much heavy metals. And that amount of metals and toxins in your body, how are you going to overcome that? Especially if the power grid is down, you don't have access to all the essentials in life. You don't. Me and my daughter, we have a big box. I have one right here to the side. We call it the ice box. Acronym as in case of emergency. I have everything in our ice boxes. And you should get some type of military knapsack type bag. And don't overfill it because somebody's going to have to carry it. Maybe one or two. It's called a bug out bag in case you got to move. You want to have supplies. I have all types of stuff. I have isolation. I've had these pre-pandemic isolation suits. I got butane cookers, like butane, a little butane oven set, is stove. It's about this big, and it has the butane cans. Right now, Walmart had 2 butane cans in with the little plastic carrier, 2 for $9.98. Go buy a bunch of them and put them down because I'm telling you, when the power grid goes out, ain't gonna be no cooking. You gotta, if you don't have a butane thing, and now if you look on Amazon, they have really small butane stoves. I mean, they are so petite. You can just twist it to the side, open it, and you can cook on that. Also get yourself some little camping mini type butane cooking, typically like stainless steel or aluminum type things, and get some cooking implements so you can cook. You're not making huge meals, but you're making smaller meals. They also have some type of butane type cooking stoves and stuff that are smokeless. Like they'll absorb the smoke so that, let's say somebody else is broken down in the house around the way, they ain't gonna see the smoke from your cooking and try to come bum rush and take your food. But definitely amass some type of coins, silver coins, or coins, gold coins that have value, because you'll be able to barter them with people in the event anything happens. That's a commodity, so get small denominations. People say have money, but if everything you got is hundreds and 50s and 20s, 50s and hundreds, and then you're going to run out of money in no time because nobody's giving change. If something goes down, nobody's giving change. And somebody might just have things that you can barter. Go to Dollar Tree, buy all the Band-Aids you can find. Buy all the, get cold medicine. Get acetaminophen, which is the brand name for Tylenol. Get Motrin for inflammation. Get a whole bunch of stuff. Just get those things and make your bug out bag and prep, because God forbid. And this is not a if it happens. This is a when. Y'all see the climate of the world. This is a when. You better be prepared. If you got menstruating women in your house, you better have some pads. You better have, if you take medication, get a little extra of your medication, because baby, if the sediment in the pipe don't kill you, baby, that lack of medicine gonna do you in. And also, if you get herbs, buy herbs, because you can steep your herbs in the sun, or you can cook them on your little stove. You can put them in a pot to soak and put it in the sun. That'll still, just like you make an iced tea. And those herbs can be herbs that fight. If you have kidney problems, herbs are going to be your best bet. They're lightweight. You can put them in Ziploc bags, label them, what it contains. And if you go on Amazon, they have these little tea bags. And make sure you don't get the white ones, because those are bleached. Get the unbleached one. They're going to look kind of taupe brown, like a beige brown kind of color. And get those. You can fill it with the herbs and draw the drawstring and make your own little tea bags and save yourself. That way, if you run out of the prescriptive medicine, you still have, go to health food stores. They have the kidney blend of tea. You know, that if you have kidney problems, liver problems, whatever ails you, they have a tea for it. And that's just my West Indian upbringing stuff. My grandmother, my great-grandmother used to do that. Trust me. It's going to be lightweight, easier to carry than a whole bunch of pill bottles. Make sure you are prepared for the inevitability of something going down in this world. Make sure you I have these little lights, these LED lights that come on an elastic band that put around your head in case the power grid goes off. If you try to carry a bag and hold a child, you ain't got no time to be holding no flashlight. This little LED light mounts right on your forehead. It has an elastic. You put it right over your head. You keep walking. I got chapstick. I got matches. I got gloves. I have everything. Get you some jars of Vaseline. You'll be surprised what you can escape and what you can sustain with Vaseline. Make sure you got coconut oil. Coconut oil is another thing. Make sure you have, oh, I love y'all too. I love you guys so much. Make sure you got coconut oil. Make sure you got baking soda and vinegar. I believe if you could be stranded on a desert island, if you got coconut oil, baking soda, vinegar, you could live forever. You can make it through, trust me. But have those essential items. If somebody wears, like me, if I wear readers, I got extra, matter of fact, I could get a pair of readers out of there. I got extra readers in there. Whatever the essentials that you need, have them. Because if the time comes that you need it, it's too late. You can't get it from nowhere. You got a dollar store, avail yourself of what you need from the dollar store. Oh, I grew up in the Word. I grew up in the Word all my life. My family is Pentecostal originally in Trinidad. I grew up. My grandmother's a mighty, God rest her soul, mighty praying woman. I grew up under the Word my entire life. I'm 54. I've lived under the Word my entire life. I always have. It's just, but we have members of my family, and that's with every family. Some are more spiritual and very devout in their faith, and others are like, you know how it is. And we have periods in life too, because when I was in my teens, well, late teens, early 20s, you know how we stray and we out there, we party and we go into the club, we in the world, we doing our thing. It's almost like what the Amish people call a rumspringer, where you go live your life. You go see what that world is about. But like the scripture says, if you train a child up in the way, and they will never depart from it. In the ways of the Lord, they will never depart from it. You might pull away and do your thing. My kids brought me back to the church. I was partying and drinking and doing all that stuff. And my son said to me one day, Mommy, my grandmother used to take my kids to church. And my son was like, Mommy, why don't you come to church? And I was like, I don't have anything to wear. You think that sucker ain't turned around and said, Jesus said, come as you are. I was like, I looked at him like, okay. And I went and I was back in the Word, I need you to make me a guide. Oh, absolutely. I will definitely make a guide and print. And there's a great book. It's called I got a picture of it. There's a really great book. And it's a guide that in the event, and you guys should look on YouTube sometime and look on the prepper channels. You'll be surprised what you need to know. Well, I'm gonna make a guide also. I'm gonna make a video about it too. If somebody was what? If somebody was a Satanist, would you try to change their opinion to believe in Christ? So here's the deal. If you're a Satanist, here's the deal. This thing called life, this thing we're doing, this experience we're having is school. This thing called life. People could call it whatever they want. This is a school. And everybody is sent here to experience. Now, I would, because I have my beliefs and how I was raised, I know that, like I said before, you have a 100% degree of success with God. You have a 100% success rate with God. He never left me. I don't know Satan as anybody who could give me anything that I need or want. He has nothing that I desire. And so, based on the teachings and what I've seen in the world, I don't see there to be anything redemptive or beneficial that would be an enrichment to my life. Whatever somebody would choose for themselves is what they choose for themselves. What I would ask you is, how is it added value to your life? How is it added value? I hear a lot of people say things like, they're agnostic or something. I don't believe in nothing. I feel sorry for them, because here's the deal. And I've seen it. We've all seen it. People want to say, I don't believe in anything, or I follow this, or I follow that, or I don't believe in anything. I don't believe. They say those type of things. But let them trip and fall on the floor. The first thing society, life has shown me, the very first thing people scream is, oh God! Every time. Lord, help me. Every single time. Let somebody trip unexpectedly. Listen for what they call out. I have never heard anybody scream out, oh, Satan, help me. I just haven't. And I'm talking people who I know don't believe in anything, ain't stepped foot in a church in forever, if ever. So I would ask you, anything that you practice in your practice makes perfect. If you practice dead works that don't yield anything, don't yield any beneficial reward to your mind, body, soul, spirit, I would ask you, what's the redemptive measure of doing it? Now, I'm not here to, oftentimes I see great in people, and I wanted to, in life, I've tried to push them to their greatness. Like, oh girl, you should do this. This will be good for you, because we can see that greatness. But I've had to learn in my journey that that's not what I've been called to do. I can suggest to somebody, you know what, you are really good at such and such. Have you ever considered blah, blah, blah? I think that would be a good fit for you, because you are so proficient. You can do da 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 da. And yeah, so in that regard, we can open them up to the concept and the perspective of choosing a different route. But I don't think it's my duty or anybody's duty to come here and tell people what they need to do. I think our walk, our journey is predetermined. I think some of it is based on destiny, and others God will, and then free will. I think it's an amalgamation of those three things. Whatever your decision is for your life that you choose is your decision for your life, between you and who you serve. And the determining, I know that based on what I've learned, what my study is, I choose to live a clean, holistic, positive life and go on to, when God calls me home, go on to the next realm of existence, whatever that may look like. And I pray that I will see the faces of my ancestors again, and it will be pleasant, and I will enjoy their company, and I will be free from the bounds of a flesh house that, sometimes is not what we want it to be, or whatever. I will be free to roam. My spirit will go on to its next incarnation. Some people may not want that. It's not my duty to tell anybody what they need to be. I would hope that you would choose something that would be spiritually redemptive and beneficial to you, your children, your family, your existence, and all that. But I don't believe I'm called here to change anybody's direction. I'm here to impart and share what I know, the wisdom of what I've experienced and what I know. I'm not here to tell anybody what you need to do. No, not going to do it. That's not what God called me to. If people that know me, I was laissez-faire with my children. And not lazy, laissez-faire, French term for let them be. Because here's the deal. I gave my kids the framework. Now, I raised my kids. I put my whole heart and soul into them. And I always say I hit the womb Powerball. I have been blessed with magnificent children. But I do not believe in taking people's free will. Parents oftentimes, I'm not a beater. I don't beat children. I don't hit children at all. I feel like we are not raising children. We are raising adults. They just pass through childhood to attain adulthood. And when you strip them of all of their free thought, free will, natural incarnations, natural proclivities, you raise a robot. You raise a condensed, fearful, mini version of yourself. A lot of people take their children and live vicariously through their children. Oh, my daughter's the head cheerleader. No, you wanted to be the head cheerleader. Your daughter's an artist. But you think she a head cheerleader because she got that petite body that you wish you had, and you gonna force her to live out your dreams that you feel like you could not attain. Foolishness. I'm not doing that to my kids. I don't care if my kids like 92 things. I say throw it all at the wall and see what sticks. If this one says, I'm into cars, I'm going to buy you every Hot Wheel car. Listen, when my son, I keep telling my middle son was obsessed with cars, obsessed with automotive, anything automotive. He could drive at 5. His father used to put him on his lap. He would drive at 5. He could do anything automotive. He knows cars. My sister's boyfriend came over one time. He was probably 3 or 4 and he was sleeping. He had just woken up, came into the porch, and I was out on the porch with my sister's boyfriend. And so help me God, he was rubbing his eyes. And he was like, Mommy. He opened his eyes. He looked, and the porch was one of those porches in Brooklyn. It was a very high porch, steep. He looked at his car. This guy was in his 20s. My son was rubbing his eyes. He said, why do you have Lexus rims or the Toyota? Promise to God. When I tell you that, the guy was like, huh? What? How you, yo, son, how you know that? He was like, I see it. You have Lexus rims. And he just woke up. He's still rubbing his eye. You have Lexus rims on a Toyota. My son is 4. Broke this guy's heart in his 20s. Broke his little heart. He thought he was out there doing it. My son was like, he said, well, Toyota makes Lexus. He said, I know. That's the luxury line. But you got a Toyota. You need Toyota rims on your Toyota. Listen, broke this guy's heart. You hear me? You don't see it? Look, it's called Kim's Lost Words. I just had it a minute ago. I sent it to my girlfriend. It's called Kim's Lost Words. Oh, what did I do? I'm trying to think what I could do to... I will post it in the chat. Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side. That's what it's called. But when I tell you he broke this young man's heart, this guy's in his 20s, had his little first car, thought he was doing it. You hear me? He was like, yo, I got to go. Let me get out of here. I got to go. He left in no time. My son was like, what? I said, oh, why did you do that? He was like, what? It was a Toyota. You can't put Lexus rims on that. My son, listen, when I say he an automotive purist, do y'all see it? I know the ring light is creating a glare. He broke his little heart. And this is a 4-year-old kid who had just woke up from sleeping. You know, you still got the sleeping yard. You don't see clearly, but he saw that. And it was a distance away. Broke his little heart. When your kids like something, you have to let them like it. Don't get into that old, or you found it great. Don't get into that old rigmarole where you just like, last week you wanted to paint. Now this week you want to do sculpturing. What, you make up your mind? No, that's a self-limiting belief system. You stifle people when you do that. People ask little kids, what you want to be when you grow up? A little kid is going to say the requisite things that they hear. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a fireman. I want to be. You don't know what you want to be when you're 7. Some people might know. But for all intents and purposes, give your kids a plethora of experiences and see what sticks. Let them find themselves. Forcing a child who has a natural proclivity for art or sculpting to be a nurse is foolishness. You are operating from a sense of fear. You have been told that a nurse is a secure, good job, and that's what you need to get so you can be successful in life. But guess what? Like I always say, DJing, bebopping, being a b-boy or b-girl, breakdancing, rapping, all of that stuff. We did that naturally. That was our culture. It developed in the ghetto as a form of creative expression and a way to, have our say and espouse. What it says? Are you a pastor at a church? No, I'm not a pastor at a church. No, I'm not. People have said that to me over and over, though. I used to actually, I used to run from my calling to the pulpit for years. I ran from it like Flojo. I'm talking one arm out and one arm in, one leg out, one out. I ran from it, but I no longer run from it. I don't. I promise. I met this guy one day, and we were talking, and the Holy Spirit told me to say to him, I was at a press conference for the National Committee to Combat Police Terrorism, and I had never seen this man before. And thank you. And you know what? I'll tell you something, though, on that. I wrote an entire man, you took me back to something. I didn't even remember it. I wrote an entire sermon using Dorothy and them, the Wizard of Oz, as a allegory. It was phenomenal. I wrote it out, and I was like, when I become a preacher, this will be my first sermon. I absolutely did. But yeah, I mean, perhaps that's a calling for me in the future. Here's my thing. I no longer believe in organized religion, because organized religion, from all that I've seen and all that I've experienced, has been utilized from time immemorial as a form of control. And I don't like the mass wholesale controlling of people and bodies. I don't like it. I don't want to control people's minds. I would like to have an open space where people can come and praise and worship and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be a specific denomination or anything. I just want to have a place where people can come and express their spirituality and fellowship with other spiritualists who want to enjoy a good word and a good sermon and stuff like that, and fellowship with other spiritual people. I do not want, non-denominational, but it doesn't even have to comport with the standards of, traditional religion. I want a place where people are free to come express their spirituality. And because a lot of people don't go to some type of organized church because they're church hurt. Somewhere in the church, some old mother of the church or the ladies of the board or something, like the Ursha board or something, they always know the fast ass little girls, but they never know the grown ass man who's molesting them. Never. And people are church hurt. There's a lot of judgment. They throw the pregnant girl out, but anybody want to know who got her pregnant? How come he still could come? How come he's still the head of the deacon board, but she got to go? Why? These old patriarchal, stereotypical, foolish control tactics. It's nonsense. And a lot of people are church hurt. And that is why people, and society saw it. The powers that be in the United States saw it. They said, oh, we know how to undermine this church thing. When that plan, what happened? The plan, I know certain words will get you flagged on here. I'll call it the plandemic. When the plandemic occurred, one of the greatest hits that society took that has yet to really gain its footing again was the church. The church was hemorrhaging. And so and people still needed an outlet for their spiritual. There's something called I forget, it's in psychology. I forget the term. So in psychology, we learned that there is this group of about 7 items that you need to have in life. So you don't have to have all 7. If you have all 7, it means you're living an optimal life. Most people are at a good 4 or 5, and that means you're living a very happy, fruitful existence. If you're anywhere below 4, the quality of your life is severely impaired. Hold on, let me see what's on my block. The quality of your life is severely impaired. And so some of the things in no exact order are: you have to have a spiritual outlet, you have to have companionship or some type of emotional, sexual outlet, you have to have something professional, like some type of work or professional outlet. You also have to have some type of entertainment aspect to your life where you have friends and companionship and you get out. There has to be, I said, a faith-based. There has to be some type of faith-based outlet. And that's not a full exhaustive list, but it's generally like 7 things. And it these are psychological schools of thought, so they modulate over the years. But the conventional wisdom is if you're below 4 or below, you are not living an optimal life. So there are some people in this world who have no companionship, no sexual outlet. They're living a frustrated life because the conventional wisdom is that God created us as beings to have all of these experiences, and that will give us optimal existence and joy. Oh, thank you. I've heard that all my life. People always said I was a teacher, a motivational speaker, things like that. And taxonomy, Maslow's hierarchy. Yep. Yes, my dear. And so many people in society don't have that. So many people are so unaware of that, but even far more people possess those outlets. And especially after the pandemic, baby, people became hyper isolated. Like they say, domestic, abuse situations increased through the roof because people were stuck in the house with their abusers and didn't have an outlet like work or school or something that was a respite from whatever toxic environment they resided in. And unfortunately, a lot of people perished during that time because they had no outlet. Also, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Misery and suffering, indeed. And you'd be surprised. So many people exist in that. Now, it's unfortunate we lost a lot of people during that pandemic. However, I think it was a great reset on society. It forced people, because people see, we have the creature comforts of life. We end up being able to, with regularity, go to the beauty salon, go to the barber shop. Guys was getting their little enhancements, make that hairline. And women, of course, with our makeup and our hairstyles and this, that, and the other. And people have all of these things. And so they convince themselves that the artificial self, or I don't want to call it artificial, that the enhanced existence is the true existence. But baby, when that pandemic hit, we saw a whole bunch of celebrities that are totally gray. We had no idea, because what I call Bijan, they call Beijing, but they couldn't get access to that Beijing. I ain't never seen so many chicks with the little tie down hair thing, because the edges of them wigs was coming up and they didn't have no glue. Because when you depend on other people to perform service for you, when you're absent or you're not able to access those people, who are you as a person? And what happened is people had to, that's right. Well, and not even so much living a lie, we were enhanced to the hills. And we were allowing ourselves to believe that enhanced version of ourselves was the real deal. But when people had to be scaled down to their basic, people's skin got better. You can go online and Google. There are maps of the earth where it said the grass grew and the earth healed itself and the trees blossomed and flowers blossomed because there was no gas and no emissions and no toxicity on the earth. The earth got a chance to redeem itself. People got a chance to redeem itself. You had to look at your mate in their scaled down basic form and still ask yourself, who is this person? We usually like two ships in the night passing each other by. We don't see each other that much. We might coalesce on the weekend, like, okay, well, we eating with the kids, doing this, that, the other. And then in this scaled down version where they're just their basic self, none of the enhancements, people started to realize that they didn't really like each other and question, why are we together? I don't even know you. I don't really like you, or there's no love here. It's like people had passed the expiration date of their existence together, but the busy work and the minutia was keeping them together. And once you pull that rug away and all those things had to go away, it was like milk that was 2 weeks past its expiration date. Are you pouring that into your coffee? I beg you, no. You won't enjoy that cup. People realized, I don't know you, I don't like you, I don't have companionship with you. A lot of men who got the eye candy chick realized nothing kept them, there was nothing tangible. I knew a couple of people who were losing their mind because they couldn't get to their work, wife and husband. And they said, peace. They're losing their mind, decompressing, because they could not get to their outside person that broke the monotony of the boring and disdainful relationship they had with their mate at home. And so for a little while, it seemed like people got a reset and said, you know what? Let me be true to myself. She looked like eye candy. She might be the Instagirl baddie that, yeah, she looked good on the arm, but we stuck in the house. And so the conversation really ain't there. She's kind of boring. Or he looked good, but he has no substance. And I'm getting a little bored with this dude, or we're not compatible. We don't really get along. And people had to, for a little while, people were on this real, hey, I'm going to take some time off and just get to know myself. Or I'm going to not like and be with who my mama and them say and the ladies at the church say I need to be with. I'm going to be with the one I love. Because when it's all said and done, you have to be at peace and have happiness. And that persisted for a while. And I really had belief that society was going to get its ish together and we was just going to be out here doing the do and being our best selves. Baby, that went away super fast. It went away so quick, it was unbelievable. I was like, wait, what happened? What happened to the kumbaya? What happened? And people got back to their false, like, listen, Atlanta, baby. Atlanta was one of the cities that allowed people back out in no time. Now, it was still a few people out there. Baby, they opened that city. People was at the gym. You should have seen the line outside the beauty salon. They literally had a car meetup in the park out here. While everybody else was locked down for the pandemic, they was out here in the park doing it up and getting together and dropping it like it was hot and all kinds of foolishness. I was like, yo, these people couldn't wait to get back outside. And eventually the kumbaya and the harmony started to drift away. And it was sad. It was unfortunate because I thought we were on a good... Oh, yeah, I'm going to post a link to the book. You had a whole breakdown in the divorce. But here's the thing. Sometimes rejection is God's protection. It's not every time that something breaks up that it's bad. What you do is free yourself to be the you need to be, and you free that other person to go where they need to go. There's nothing worse than holding on to something that's not yours. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't fit you. It's like finding a huge diamond ring, a beautiful diamond ring, but it's way too big for your finger. It's just going to be swimming around. The likelihood is that it's going to fall off and you're going to lose it. Or the person who really owns it is going to see you and be like, where you get that ring? That's not your ring. Give me my ring. Or whatever. Holding something that has no redemptive benefit to you is wasteful. Hoarding things in your house. I'm about to clean out my garage and get rid of a lot of things. We hold on to things. We have to, employ, as my daughter says, the Marie Kondo thing. We have to have our items. We have to take those items and thank them for serving us. Thank you, couch. Thank you, extra chair in my garage that I've been sitting there for 4 years that nobody has sat in. Thank you, shirts that I haven't worn for 5 years. Thank you for serving me. You did me well. I enjoyed you. I took some fantastic pictures. You fit really well, but your time has come. I'm going to pass you on to someone else who else may need you. And we can donate things to the Goodwill, or you can make a little Etsy store or whatever, the Poshmark or whatever all the little things are. But we have to let things go. We have to suspend our attachment to material things, because this world is changing. And all that other stuff that we keep in the way, baby, we're going to miss the boat. It's going to be people out here. You see all these vampire shows? I had a theory. Why are they showing us all these vampire shows? Because they know that's what some of y'all going to turn into, because you ain't listening. You're not prepared. You're not prepared. So when ish hit the fan, people going to turn on each other. Y'all seen these foolish movies, The Purge and all that. Why do you think they showing people that? Because they're giving you your alternatives. We know y'all are distracted. We know y'all ain't paying attention. And I don't mean my nerd herd. I mean people as a whole in society. So many people are distracted by the fun side of life. They are not paying attention. Absolutely. And I know you're better than ever. And guess what? Didn't you have the opportunity to fall back in love with you? Isn't it nice to lay in the bed and I'm not saying we're meant to be alone, but for that time where you're getting to know yourself again, ain't nothing like not having to shit a remote control, baby. You can watch whatever you want. Just be flipping them. Boop, 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 boop. You know what it feels like when somebody's in your space that you don't really check for, and y'all share a bed, and now they like, why you always get to hold a remote? There is nothing worse than that. You know what it feels like to lay beside someone and you like the room cold, but they like it hot? Baby, why do it to yourself? We have to free people up. We have to sit down as grown-ups. We have to say, listen, we experienced each other. We had a phenomenal experience. I enjoyed so much. Remember that time we did this? Remember that time we did that? Oh, that was a blast. I have really experienced and enjoyed you. However, I think we both know we have come to a precipice. The height of what we were experiencing has faded. I think, and even if you know the person is seeing someone, listen, I know you're seeing Lisa, and you guys seem to, I know you didn't know I knew about Lisa, but you guys seem to get along really well. I've seen your text messages. You guys have great chemistry. Go on and enjoy her. No hard feelings, no love lost. I experienced you. I had a great time with you. I think Lisa's a good fit for you. Perhaps you should consider that. And in a mature kind of resolute way, free them to let them go on without any animosity. I think what's happening a lot is people are so afraid. People have, we live in, back in the day, they used to say money is the root of all evil. Money is the commodity everybody chases, and that's where people's value lie. And so it's this great commodity. But guess what? It's not really money. It is attention is the new commodity. And people are obsessed with attention. People got to be posted. I know a woman, when I tell you, I checked for this lady, she's brilliant. She's successful, but my God, you see how people post things and then on their story, it'll have like maybe 5 boxes. So you'll look through 5 different little micro stories. She'll have 42. Doop, 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 doop. She has to post everything. And I'm not going to say her name, but for all intents and purposes, it reads to me, my discernment says, inherent insecurity, loneliness, and this desire, this need to tell everybody every iota of your, I ate a piece of chicken. I had salmon today. I had 3 pieces of broccoli instead of 1. That, you're not living. If everything has to be chronicled, hold on, let me post this. Are you living? It's like the people that go to a concert and the entire concert, they're watching their phone. You are live and you're experiencing it through your phone screen? Are you mad? I might, take a little bit of footage to memorialize it in time, maybe post it. But I'm not going to watch the entire concert through my phone screen. I am going to be in the moment and enjoy that experience. I don't get what's happening. We have this inherent need to tell everybody, look, oh, look at me, like little kids. Oh, look what I got. I got this. Look what I got. We have to stop that. It's nothing wrong with posting things listen, you can post things. I think if your story consists of 42 microdots, then you need to check yourself. You need to check yourself. There's something missing inside. And then the crazy thing is, and I don't want to say too much because she'll probably watch this and then she'll know I'm talking about. I'm not going to ever say her name, but she did go through a breakup recently. And here's the crazy thing. People ask me stuff because my spirit of discernment is very intense. And they ask me things, and so help me God, there was a time where she said, you know, I would go over there sometimes and be around her and her family, and this happened to me with 3 different women. They all said to me, what do you think about him? What's your perception? And I knew, even though they were asking, because they knew I have a very good spirit of discernment and a prophetic and empathic gift, and they wanted to know. They said with their mouth that they wanted to know, but because I have that sharp discernment, my energy read, they don't want to know. They don't want to hear nothing. They want to use my spirit of discernment to tell them, this is great. And so, yes, I'm very in tune. Ugh. And they wanted me to affirm what they wanted out of this person. And I've always regretted on those, with these 3 particular women, that I said, oh, he seems super cool, like a nice person. When I really wanted to say, child, if you don't pack your shit and run, there was this feeling that overcame me with these 3 different women, 3 separate cases that they don't even know each other. But 3 women in my life asked me what I thought about their man. And I knew he wasn't shit. But I also could see, smell, hear, taste, experience the vulnerability of them, and the fact that I didn't care what you tell them. This my man. They didn't want to hear the truth. They wanted affirmation. And so at that moment, I chose to give them what they wanted instead of what they needed. And that's the thing we struggle with. You know how it is. You see your homegirl's man somewhere. He tongue down, tongue deep in a chick's throat. You tell her, she cursing you out. She want to fight you. She want to cut you. Because why you talking about her man? And now they both hate you. I don't got time for that. These are women that I respect and cherish in my life. And I knew that these guys weren't ish. But at that time, I knew that they weren't ready to hear it. And so I was like, seems cool to me. I don't know him that well, but he seems cool to me. When I knew it wasn't. And they all 3 had horrific breakups. When I say horrific, one after, I can't go any further or she will know that I'm talking about her. Horrific. I'm talking humiliating, the kind of ish where everybody know but you. And it was unfortunate. I felt horrible because I knew it the first moment. I was like, oh no, this, as we say in the West Indies, this not gonna make it. But I knew at the time they did not really want to hear the truth. And so I opted to give them what they wanted. Was it the wisest choice? Possibly no. But it was the choice I made at the time. I've had a lot of regret about it. And I want to live in my true authenticity. But I always know people will ask for a thing that they're not really ready for. And I don't want to carry... Well, I don't carry the burden of things like that. But I don't want to... I cherish these women enough that I don't want to lose what we have, and I rather them come of their awareness of what their situation is on their own. Because guess what? This life is a school. And if I tell you he ain't ish, you probably was going to get a B plus in that class. But because I interjected in what God was trying to make you aware of on your own, now you end up with a D because you didn't crashed out. Because I told you. I don't want to interrupt your learning process. Now, if I see your speeding train is off the rails and you're about to crash into a brick wall, I'm going to hit the switch on that train and divert you because I don't want you to crash. However, if I know for a fact that you are not ready to hear the truth, I'm not going to drop it. That's not my assignment. A very wise woman once told me, everybody ain't your assignment. Those who are, I will impart that wisdom. Those who are not, I'm not going to do it. I learned the hard way. That's right. They don't learn what they're supposed to learn. And so it's not my duty to throw you off course. It's my duty as a friend to stand by, keep my eyes open to make sure you don't derail your train and crash into a brick wall. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to be here that you can to console you in the event that it turns out exactly precisely the way I knew all three of them would. And I am going to love on you, and we're gonna put your Vaseline on and pin your hair up, and I'm gonna be like, here girl, let me get you another scrunchie, and we're gonna commiserate, and if you need to drink and laugh and talk, then I'm gonna do that with you. And when you gotta cry, snot cry and all that, I'm gonna be there with you. But I don't feel like it's my duty to derail the lesson that God has in store for you. You know, I see myself more as bumpers. You know, when you put the bumpers up at the bowling alley for the kids so their ball doesn't go into the gutter? I'm bumpers. That's what I'll call myself. And not in everybody's life. Some people, God has called me to tell them like a TI is. And sometimes it'd be a lot. I don't believe in blocking someone's. That's right. I don't believe in blocking lessons or blessings. Now, I've had times where I could be minding my business in the supermarket, deciding what my daughter will be going to eat and what we got. And then God will say, turn around and you see the lady, you're going to see a lady in a purple shirt. Go tell her to have her breast checked. And I'll be like, Father God, really? Can I just shop? Why are you doing this to me? And I'll be like, a couple of times I was like, I'm not doing it. And God was on my neck, like, go tell her. And I was just like, oh my God. Trust me, you wanna play around and tell God you surrender, he gonna test you. Go tell that lady in a purple shirt, go have her breast checked. Whew, some of the most difficult discussions. Some difficult discussions. But you know, I made it through. They're not always easy. Oh, I'm a servant of God indeed. I'm a vessel, and baby, when I tell you, when you surrender and you allow yourself to be used as that vessel, Most High gonna test you. Most High gonna send you on missions, and it doesn't always come out well. I had a girlfriend. I grew up with this young lady. She lived in a block. In fact, she lived in her great aunt's house. Her and her family lived upstairs, and their backyard and my backyard faced each other. We grew up together, went to school together, all that. She ended up getting caught up with this guy. This is many years ago. I was in beauty school. I was a young adult. I was in beauty school. I had one son, and she started dealing with this guy. We could see that this guy was taking her out of her element. She was always kind of thickish, like a husky girl. She had a little cute shape when we were young, but she started getting husky, and she had a broad back, and you know, that kind of flat, wide butt. And she didn't really like it. Now, if she was slightly smaller, it presented better, but her body size was just what it was. And so he introduced her to, he was a counterfeiter. He was a popping dude in the street. He looked like, money. But he was a counterfeiter. He used to sniff coke. He had her strung out, but he had her fly. So her moms didn't really have it. She started boosting at a young age because they didn't have it. And when she met this guy who all the girls wanted, but he was with her, it made her feel like she was on top of the world. Like, I remember some days she'd be in, I don't know if some of y'all know what North Beach Leather is, North Beach Leather, this company, baby, some of the baddest ensembles. We'd be up in the club, she'd be wearing a pearl ice blue North Beach leather set. Fly, okay? And we was all fly. We been fly. One thing, my mother loved clothes. We been fly. However, and it's a very New York, a northern thing, the fly. That get fly, yeah, that's what we do. But her mother didn't have it like that, so she had to boost. But when this guy came along, like I said, he was a counterfeiter, so she was spending money, in no time, he had her completely strung out. He was out here counterfeiting, selling guns, all that stuff. He got arrested. Then she was getting strung out because he was arrested and she couldn't get her access. And then he told her, go to his house, go under his bed, get this bag of guns and go sell it so she could bail him out. And when you open off of a dude that ain't that your friends be like, you don't need to be with him, and you stop being jealous. Okay. And then he tells you to go sell a bag of guns, and you sell it to an undercover cop, and you go to jail for, when I tell you, years. We tried to write letters. We tried to write it out with her. We wrote letters. We tried to do everything. She had to serve that time because he threatened her. If you tell, I'm going to hurt y'all. So he gets out. She ended up doing his time. They knew she wasn't the big guy, but she was too afraid to tell. So she had to ride them years out. And when so all of her baby making years while we were having kids and, making families, she was incarcerated. When she finally came home, it was tough for her to transition at first. And she felt a way like that we looked at her a particular kind of way because she did it years. So according to medical, she always had very large breasts. Now, according to medical studies, a woman who never bore children but has very dense breasts has a higher susceptibility to breast cancer. So she's starting to get herself back together and she's getting her life together. She got a job. She's doing good. She's maybe like 3-4 years in. I'm sitting on my grandmother's porch one day in Brooklyn. She pulls up to the red light. Nice car, blasting music. I was like, oh, I'm so happy to see her. She was like, what's up, girl? What up, Nanny? And we wave. And I said, let me walk over there and go talk to her. I walk over to the street. And God said, while I'm getting to the car, God tells me, tell her to go get her breast checked. I said, Lord God, now my mother didn't like this girl. We could have a house full of teenagers. My mother came and saw her and this other girl named Jasmine. Blank and Jasmine, get off my property. Every time. We even had a box. My mother had got a big delivery and it was this big box. And we put it in the closet in my bedroom and we would put clothes in it. She would get in the box and we would put clothes on top of it because she never wanted to get out. She was like, why your mother always throw me out? My mother would say, Blank and Jasmine, get the F off my property now. Never knew why my mother didn't like them. She told us later on in life, and it was justified. But she hated to get thrown out. When I told her to go get her breast checked, she looked at me like I said, oogly moogly, give me all your money. She looked at me like the craziest thing. And baby, why we found out later that. And I had a dream one day before we found out. I had a dream one day. My mother didn't care for her. In this dream, it was a prophetic vision. I see all these people, everybody that we know is in this big room, and my mother's there. My mom was talking to her mom and this and that. I was like, what a weird thing. My mother's talking to her mother. My mother doesn't even like her. Like, what is going on here? And I just happened to say in this prophetic dream vision, where is blank? And somebody was like, oh my God, that's not funny. Why would you say that? And got mad at me. One of my girlfriends, I was like, what is going on? Until I realized we were at a repast for her. This was the vision God showed me. So then later on, when he told me, he said, tell her to check her breasts. And I was fighting it. I did not want to say it. I was like, what you been up to, girl? You look nice. Oh, how's such and such? Can I tell you something? God told me to tell you, go check your breasts. She was like, what? Get out my face. What? Girl, bye. And she left. I felt like this. I was like, ugh. And we found out later. She had breast cancer. All those years, there's something about our hormones that if you don't create a child and release some of these things from your body, they can turn toxic. And I've had so many of these situations, crazy, what people will call crazy situations, was just normal to me, but so many of these situations. The short of it all is, I don't think I am the only one that has the ability to hear from the Most High and from the Holy Spirit. I don't. I think we all do to some degree. Some people are in tune with theirs and others are not. Ask yourself, if you don't feel like you hear from God, find out, assess your life and see what's distracting you. Because if you got too many distractions, you can't hear from Him. It's like having the TV on and the radio and everything at the same time, and the air conditioner is loud and the fan is on. You're not going to hear well. Sometimes you have to turn all of that off and tune out everything. Just sit silently. I promise you, the first voice is the voice of the Most High. You will hear from God. You have to make yourself available. You have to cut out all the distractions, make yourself available, and the Most High will impart wisdom and information and knowledge to you. You just got to be willing to receive it. Now, being willing to receive it, I am an empath. Yep, I have an empathic and a prophetic gift. Being willing to receive it is not going to be easy. Because what happens is when the Most High talks to you, not going to tell you a little stuff you want to hear. Some of that stuff is going to be tough to hear. It's going to be sending you to impart other wisdom to other people. But the thing is, we cannot treat God transactionally. We cannot treat God like an ATM. We have to take the good and what we perceive to be the tough. I'm not going to say the bad, the tough. The Most High, I had a person tell me, I was going to tell y'all this before, I had a person tell me, I was at that press conference and the Most High, I'd never seen this man before. And I was sitting in a room with all these people that I know. We're different activists around the Atlanta area. And I just had, you know how your mother talked to you, you get that little shiver. And I was like, I said, who just walked in this building? We were sitting in the conference room and everybody was like, you okay? I was like, a presence just walked into this building. Who just walked into this building? And I don't know, I'm in here with you. It was about 5 or 6 of us, different activists around Atlanta. And then this man, tall, handsome, strapping man, walks into the room and they all seem to know him. Hey, what up? Giving him pounds and all that stuff. And he looks at me and he's like, how you doing? My name is Blake. And he reaches out and touches my hand. And that same little tremble I did, I felt his whole life when he touched my hand. And I was like, and so for the rest of the time, I introduced myself, but for the rest of the time, I kept peeking over at him during the press conference. Like, Most High was like, I got you. I need you to go tell him 3 things. And I was like, oh my God. And so I had never seen this man before. He was handsome. I'd never seen him before, but they all knew who he was. And he had never seen me before. So after the press conference, I finagled my way over and I said, hey, brother, how are you? I said, it was a pleasure meeting you. And he's like, hey, how you doing? He's talking, shooting his. And I said, I don't know what your spiritual belief system is, but you mind if I share something with you? The Most High asked me to share 3 things with you. And he was like, oh, really? Okay, yeah, I'm for that. And I said, okay, I don't know what your spiritual belief system is, but I just want to import these things. I'm a vessel. I'm only trying to do what the Most High asked me to do, And I just said, so the first thing I said, I said, you're going through a divorce, right? It's going to be all right. I promise you. This man looked at me. His eyes became full of water. And he was like, what? What? And he just walked down the hall. And I could tell he wasn't walking away. He just needed to get away from me for a minute. And when I looked, he was crying. And I was like, he just had to stay down there, get himself together. He came back up. He was like, well, what make you say that? I said, the Most High told me. I said, it's okay. Everything is going to work out in your favor. Everything is going to work out in your favor. It's going to be okay. And he was like, wow. He said, nobody knows that yet. We just decided that. Like they had just decided the day before. But the Most High had told me. So then I said to him, I said, don't worry. You're going to be able to interact with your kids and still be in your kids' life. He literally bust out crying this time, walked away again. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so tough. I don't want to do this to this man. I don't know him. I feel like I'm ruining his day. And he came back, he got himself together. And then as he got himself together, he started talking to me. He said, you're a woman of God. He said, where do you go? You're in seminary? What church you go to? I said, well, I don't have a church home right now at that particular time. I said, but I've been running from a calling to the pulpit. And I do feel like, I do want to answer that call. And he said, he literally looked at me and said, if you go to seminary, I will pay for it. And I was like, well, what an odd shot to shoot. But he shot that shot. He shot that shot. Oh, he shot his shot. I was like, pay for me to go to seminary. Wow. I said, this is different. So I'm just talking to him. He's talking to me. We just talking. And he said, he's like, what was the other thing? And just then somebody else that I know, another activist, comes out the door. And I'm like, oh, hey. And I'm saying hi to him. And he's saying hi to him. He said, what up, good Rev? And I kind of like, what? And the guy I had been talking to was a reverend. I had no clue. So now I'm still growing in my spiritual life. I'm like, who am I? I'm talking to a man of God and I'm sitting here telling him stuff and he's a man of God. And it made me almost kind of retract and pull back. And he said, and the dude was like, what up, good Rev? He said, nah, it's just blank. When we outside of the pulpit, it's just blank. And he was like, if you want to call me Rev, you got to come sit on the front seat of my church. I've been inviting you. And I'm like, wait a minute. Not only is he a reverend, he got a whole church. Now I'm like, oh my God, who am I to be preaching to this man? And he is a reverend. And so help me, guys. So after he was like, what up, Eb? Gave me a hug. We chit-chatted and he walked away. And he said, what was the 3rd thing? And I was like, oh, no, that was it. And he was like, no, you said 3 things. And I was like, oh, no, that was it. Because now I'm all like in my, I can't preach to a reverend because I was still growing in my spiritual walk. So he said, are you sure? He said, listen, I have a church. I'd like to invite you to my church. He gave me his card. He said, I said, I don't have a church home, but I like a more African-centered spirituality because that's how I grew up. He passed me his card. It said African-centered spirituality. I said, oh, wow. So he said, come on to my church. He gave me this, that. I said, okay, I'll be there. He was like, come on, please. I want you to come. I said, I'll be there. So because I had walked up to him and prophesied to him, he went and told the deacon in the church, I met this woman today. I know she's a woman of God. She prophesied stuff to me that nobody knows. that we just decided. So how could she know? It had to be God. So I didn't tell him. And when he was walking away, he said, you sure it wasn't one more thing? And I was like, oh, no, no, no. And I walked away. And then as soon as I walked away, God kept saying, I told you to tell him the three things. Tell him the three things. So that was like maybe a Wednesday. And so Thursday and Friday, God was riding my back and said, tell him the three things. So I call him. He gives me his number. I call him and I said, hey, remember when I talked to you and I said, there is a third thing? He was like, what is it? And I said, hey. And I said, the Most High told me, even though you are getting a divorce, when you speak to your wife, do not speak to her as the woman that you are divorcing. Speak to her as the woman you married. You fell in love with and married. Continue to deal with her like that. He instantly screamed and said, the next time God tell you to something, just do it and get out your own way. Mind your business. You're a vessel. Just tell people what God told you to tell them. And I just jumped back like, why is this man talking to me like this? He's a reverend. What is he yelling at me for? And I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know him that well. So for him to be screaming on me, I was like, I'm sorry. What happened? And he goes, I almost went to jail yesterday. And I was like, why? What happened? He said they called them into an impromptu mediation. Unexpected. He goes into the mediation. He's so angry about this new situation that he felt like he was being gaslit. She felt like she was being gaslit, vice versa. And they caught into a big argument, and the facility called the police on them. And by the grace of God, the first cops on the scene were cops that knew him as an activist and a reverend. And so they said, listen, get out of here. I'm telling you, if the sergeant is coming up the other staircase, if he gets up here, I got to lock you up. And so he was able to get out of there and not get arrested. But he said, you told me there was three things. If you would have told me that before I came here, I would have dealt with her. I would have listened. I know you're a woman of God. I would have listened and dealt with her the way you said it instead of the way I was feeling. He said, you are a vessel of God. You have to get out of your own way, mind your business, and tell the people exactly what God told you to say. And that was my first hard lesson in this empath, prophetic, spiritual walk. I mean, he screamed on me and I felt a way. I was in my feelings for a while. And then I went to the church and I walked in and I was late. That's my thing. That's my cross to bear, that God's still dealing with me. I won't call myself late. I know I work on Kairos time, which is God's timing. And most people in the world exist on Chronos time. And Kairos and Chronos time don't necessarily line up. There's always a little off. And so I'm on Kairos time. But I was late for church. And so how the entry is the back of the church. And so when I came in, everybody's facing the pastor on the pulpit. And he looks up and sees me. And instantly he just said, oh, and started, like, he became overcome and started crying. And CP time too. A little CP time. You caught me. And it was, he became overcame. So when he started, like, that cry came over him, the whole church turned around like, who just walked in? And I just ducked into that last seat. And the joke became, once I eventually joined the church, the joke became that chair is my chair because I'm always late. Don't nobody sit in that chair. That's her chair. You know she late. And that became the joke. But he became so overcome when he saw me actually show up for church. And it's funny because my first day there, at the end of the sermon, I went down. I was like, oh, what a mighty word. You really, you did your thing, this, that, the other. And remember, he had just yelled at me too. So I said, you did your thing. And he was like, oh, I want you to meet somebody. And he introduced me to the deacon, which was Deacon Yolanda. And it's a woman I love to this day. We have an amazing relationship. And one day later on, she told me, she was like, oh, you're the woman he spoke about. I know you're a woman of God. And I was like, oh, what makes you say that? She was like, oh, I know. So he had broken us up into these little groups, prayer groups, and she and I lived nearby each other. So we were a part of a prayer group. One day, other people didn't show up and we talked, and she was like, tell me about your meeting with the pastor. And I told her all of this. And she said, I really like you. And I said, well, thank you. I like you too. And she's like, no, you literally told that story exactly the way he told it. Exactly. He told me the day he met you, this woman is a true woman of God. She's a prophet. She said, I don't have no doubt in my mind. And I was just like, oh, wow. And so that was a thing. That's just a part of my walk. But I thought it illustrates this journey I'm on and this gift and all this really well. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. It helped me grow in my spiritual walk. It taught me a lot that this thing, I am just a vessel. It is not my business. It is not I don't have authority over the word that God gives me. I am simply a vessel by which he shares that word. And here's the thing. I think sometimes they're hard things to share or odd things to share. The beauty of it is that God, in order for you to know that prophets and empaths are real and that God is still an on-time God who is able to do all things, it has to stand out. It has to be something that you didn't tell another soul in this world. And here I come, a woman you never met, and I'm coming to impart that same secret you're holding. And I know it like I'm your pillow, because you've only ever cried it into your pillow, and I know it that well. You have to know that it's God, because how would I know? We don't know each other. But every single thing about it, I'm telling you, it's been a tough journey. People don't necessarily want strangers. I literally had a couple of people tell me, I used to be like, what's going on? We used to hang out more. What's going on? I feel like I don't have no privacy around you. I feel like you're looking inside of me. I can't do. And I'm like, well, I'm not looking inside you, but you just be knowing things. I feel like I don't have no secrets around you. I just want my own privacy. And I was just like, sheesh. And I felt a little rejected, but I understand. I understand. And it's not like that. I don't see, I'm not like some, play the lotto, the Powerball is going to be, no. Because if it worked like that, I'd have been hit and y'all probably wouldn't know me. But I get that. Having someone know your deepest, darkest thing is tough. It's tough. And it doesn't come all the time. I'm not just walking around like, seeing through them. But I see through a lot of stuff. I see through a lot. I can walk in a room and read everybody's energy. And sometimes that's tough because it causes me to just isolate and stay away. Because sometimes I don't want to know everything. But eventually, listen, this is what he gave me. I can't cash it in. So, what you said, people tell me when we converse. Yeah. Well, that means you have a gift. That means you have a gift. Listen, fall into it. Yeah. It's tough. It is so tough. That's right. That's right. Just like for Jonah. It's a heavy, it was a heavy burden in the beginning. Now I'm more comfortable in this suit. And that's why I always say I have the breastplate of righteousness on. I really, really do. I couldn't take it off if I wanted to. I only take it off for laundering purposes and to give my, let the twins breathe. Other than that, I always have it on. And it's not like a put on or nothing. It's just inherent. It's who I am. It's what I am. It's my existence. So I love it. I mean, it took a while for me to totally embrace it because it's layered, but I do. It's become my thing, so I'm comfortable with it. I'm definitely, it is overwhelming sometimes. Oh boy. Sometimes I'd be like, I wish I could take this off and leave it on the dresser. If I had a $5 bill for every time I've said that. Because it is heavy. And it's also tough in relationships. Because people can't lie to you. When you're hypersensitive to energy and words and people's emotions, people can't lie to you. And I just be looking at them like, oh, is that so? Okay, interesting. And people are like, what's that supposed to mean? What you mean by that? Interesting. Because you're saying something that I know to be a lie, but I'm not going to call you out. I just be like, oh, interesting. And I don't mean to say it like that. It's what comes out. But, what can I say? But we've been here. Ooh, child, we've been on here a long time, child. Y'all must really like me. Yeah, you can feel the energy. You can't, and here's the thing. I know all of y'all possess that gift too. I'm telling you, once you hone in, you got to meditate. Once you meditate and you hone into that, you need to start at night. Listen, turn your TV on, I would say turn your TV on more than your phone, because your phone, you can irradiate your body you shouldn't sleep with your phone beside your head or your bed, because it gives off a lot of radiation. You can irradiate your body while you're sleeping. That's not good. Oh, I love y'all right back. Put your phone away from your bed. Put it across the room, whatever, because you're irradiating your body and it's destroying your organs. But if you have your TV on, which also gives off radiation, but not quite as much as your phone, put your TV on and put it on binaural beats. I'll put that in the chat as well. Binaural beats force you to use the left and the right hemisphere of your brain simultaneously. And it will enhance your understanding, your reasoning, your concrete permanence, all of that. It will enhance your brain. Your synapse will fire. Also listen to high frequency music. High frequency music, because the strumming of chords, the chords on a piano or, you know, a guitar, whatever, chords heal your body. That frequency, that resonance of the strumming of things heals your body. It drains your lymphatic system and it can heal your body. So start listening at night. Take off, you know, you don't got to, some of us keep our TV on. My grandmother did it, and so I do it too. But I will put it on binaural beats or high frequency music. And when you look at the ones that say, and the ocean waves are nice, but listen to, put on the binaural beats. Your brain will become sharper than ever. I'm talking sharp. Those synapses will be firing like pistons. And high frequency music, it will heal your body. There's high frequency music for all types of things, to give you homeostasis and peace within, to give you, indeed, I appreciate you too. It'll just heal your mind, body, soul, spirit, get your life right. Put on the TV, go on YouTube. If you have YouTube on your TV or if you have a Fire Stick, go to YouTube. In the search, type in high frequency music or high frequency sounds or binaural beats. I promise you, try it tonight, go to sleep. You're going to wake up so full of invigoration and power. And like I said, there's a multitude of types. Choose whatever you think suits your body. And you got days, so you can do this one tonight, this one the next night. They run for like 11 hours. So go ahead and put it on while you sleep. You'll wake up to it. You'll wake up more effervescent in the morning. You'll jump right to it instead of hitting the snooze a million times. You'll jump right to it. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Come back to the chat. Tell me what you think. Share this. I'm going to post this. Share it. Tell a friend. You know, if you're not subscribed, like my daughter always tells me, don't forget the business, mommy. Like, share, subscribe. Be sure to comment. Tell a friend. And thank you for belonging to the Nerd Herd. I always have a blast with you guys. Thank you for being with me. It was a very emotional day, and I spent a lot of it alone today, and I thank you guys for spending the evening with me. I appreciate you. You made it all better. And I didn't have to focus on the story at hand because it's everywhere and I can't escape it. But I love the love you gave me. I appreciate you guys so much. And until we meet again, sayonara, Nerd Herd. You're welcome. Thank you. Good night, sweet dreams. And don't forget those high frequency music and binaural beats. I promise you, you'll be a new person tomorrow. Sleep well, guys.